At this moment in history, we stand at the precipice of either continued servitude to an engineered system of silence and corporate domination, or the restoration of true American liberty, a return to the fundamental rights enshrined by our founding fathers, those who fought not just for territorial sovereignty, but for the ability of a free people to govern themselves without coercion, censorship, or authoritarian fiat. Today, one man possesses the singular power to catalyze the most significant liberation of public discourse in the modern era. That man is President Donald J. Trump, and the action that will define his legacy, the action that will forever enshrine him as a liberator of nations and protector of future generations, is the repeal of Section 704 of the Telecommunications Act of 1996. The great American experiment was never predicated on centralized control over truth. It was built on the principle that a free people, endowed with the right to challenge authority, will always forge the path toward progress, safety, and prosperity. Yet in 1996, a single act of Congress silenced one of the most pressing public health and technological debates of our time. Section 704 of the Telecommunications Act did not merely promote telecommunications expansion. It went further than any law in American history in prohibiting health-based objections to infrastructure placement, rendering Americans powerless to challenge what is now the most ubiquitous and biologically impactful environmental exposure in modern civilization: chronic RF radiation from wireless networks. This statute is not merely bad law, it is antithetical to democracy itself. It systematically eradicates local governance. Cities, counties, and school districts were stripped of the right to restrict wireless installations near homes, schools, and workplaces, even if citizens presented indisputable evidence of harm. It criminalizes free speech in infrastructure decision-making. The very act of raising health concerns in opposition to telecom expansion was rendered legally irrelevant, an explicit nullification of the First Amendment's protections of petition and redress. It empowers corporate autocracy. Wireless carriers, private entities driven solely by financial imperatives, were granted unchecked dominion over network expansion, even in the face of irrefutable data proving the biological and environmental consequences of RF saturation. The repeal of Section 704 is not simply a legislative correction. It is the restoration of a core tenet of American freedom. A free people will always solve problems more effectively than a centralized authority enforcing top-down, corporate-driven mandates. By returning the right of public discourse, local control, and legislative autonomy over wireless infrastructure placement, the inevitable result will be safer, smarter connectivity. Innovation thrives when the market is held accountable by consumer awareness and demand. Without government-mandated RF saturation, industry leaders will be forced to pioneer safer, non-invasive technologies such as space-based broadband and Li-Fi. A constitutional mandate for space-based broadband, once Americans are legally permitted to challenge unsafe terrestrial infrastructure, the economic and regulatory momentum will shift toward a federal mandate requiring high-powered transmission to be relocated to space, where exposure is greatly reduced by the inverse square law, allowing broadband access without blanketing our neighborhoods and schools with biologically disruptive RF pollution. An end to RF-saturated schools. Once local authorities regain the ability to restrict high-power transmission sources, the movement to remove Wi-Fi from classrooms and mandate Li-Fi as the standard for indoor education will gain unstoppable traction. Children, whose developing nervous systems are uniquely susceptible to RF bioeffects, will no longer be used as unwitting subjects in an uncontrolled biological experiment. Li-Fi and photonic communications become the new standard. In the absence of corporate monopolization, the natural evolution of data transmission will favor light-based rather than microwave-based networking solutions. With Li-Fi providing faster, more secure, and biologically safe indoor connectivity, and fiber optics delivering zero RF high-speed internet, RF-based infrastructure will gradually be phased out, not by force, but by free market demand. America will lead the world in the next technological revolution, just as the United States pioneered industrial manufacturing, aviation, and the internet. So too will we be the first to usher in the light age, a new era where connectivity is no longer synonymous with biological interference, but instead represents a harmonious fusion of photonic data, human health, and sustainable technological progress. President Trump's legacy, the man who saved America and humanity. If President Trump repeals Section 704, he will not only be restoring the rights stolen from the American people in 1996, he will be ushering in a new era of innovation, safety, and economic prosperity. He will be the president who freed the American people from a corporate-controlled wireless state. By striking down the legislative shackles of corporate RF expansion, Trump will be remembered as the leader who restored local sovereignty and ensured that no future administration could silence communities under the pretext of industry convenience. The president who mandated a space-based telecommunications future. Under his leadership, the high-power transmission networks that now litter our neighborhoods will be relocated to space, ensuring that America leads the world in the transition to low-exposure, high-speed, satellite-based connectivity. The president who ushered in the Age of Light. Just as the Industrial Revolution transformed the global economy, the shift from RF-based communication to Li-Fi, photonic, and quantum-based data transmission will redefine the way humanity interacts with technology. The move toward light-based networks will not only eliminate a major source of biological stress, but will also unlock new paradigms in secure, high-speed communication, paving the way for the most intelligent, resilient, and adaptive global information network in history. The president who saved the future of human health. By repealing Section 704, President Trump will be remembered as the leader who allowed Americans to demand safer technologies, thereby reducing RF exposure and reversing the alarming trends in fertility, neurodevelopmental disorders, and chronic illnesses that have skyrocketed in the last 2 decades. The president who restored scientific integrity and the rule of law. With the enforcement of Public Law 9602, the return of independent RF safety research, and the reinstatement of federal oversight on telecommunications emissions, Trump will ensure that no administration can again conceal critical scientific findings or shield industry malfeasance from scrutiny. A new era of freedom, innovation, and human flourishing. This is not merely a policy decision. This is a defining moment in history, an opportunity for President Trump to solidify his place as one of the most consequential leaders of all time. By striking down Section 704, he will restore the constitutional rights of local governments and American citizens, the sovereignty of our infrastructure, transferring high-power transmitters to space, a new paradigm of safe, efficient, and sustainable connectivity. If Trump repeals Section 704, he will not only save America, he will save humanity. Future generations will look back at this moment and say, this was the leader who saw beyond the tyranny of corporate interests. This was the president who restored our freedom. This was the man who brought humanity out of the darkness of RF saturation and into the age of light. The time is now. Hashtag Trump repeal 704. Usher in the light age. Secure the future of America and of mankind. Visit RF Safe to learn more.